Okay, Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. We have been contemplating on the different yogas just to get an overview of many of them and what some of the interconnections are among them. So, when we are considering bhakti, bhakti is devotion. Generally, we think of it as devotion to God, and that is certainly true. So, what is bhakti? What is meant by bhakti? Bhakti is love. It's pure, undifferentiated love. And in its highest state, it doesn't have a direction. It is non-directional, undifferentiated love. Now, what does that mean? At the mental level, if Sachin is saying, I love you, there's a direction, there's a me, there's another person there, and then there is a flow of emotion towards the other person. That is also love, but that is a directional love, and it is a love that is expressed through the mind and the body, and we use the expression, I love you. Now, there's a different expression that really elucidates or highlights the non-directional state of bhakti. And that is, if you take the statement, I love you, and you change it to, there is love without boundary within which we both exist, within which we all exist. So now the I and the you are gone. And so that is the culmination of bhakti. This transition from the I and the you, I love you. Even with God, we say, I love God. I love Krishna, I love Shiva, I love Jesus, I love whoever. Or even in the family, husband says to wife, I love you. Mother says to daughter, I love you. Like this. Father says to son, I love you. That is at the human psychological state. Now, if we start with non-directional bhakti, that there is just love everywhere we look. Love is looking through us in every direction at all times. Then everything exists inside of love. That is the same thing as saying everything exists inside of God. Now, many people might think that is very difficult to achieve. How is that to be done? Is that an achievement? But the reality, as such, is that it's not an achievement. It is a realization of the love that is present everywhere. So that realization of the non-directional love is Prem Lakshana Bhakti, the 10th form of devotion. Anywhere you go, anywhere we are, love is flowing, it's active. Now, of course, we're living with the mind, we're living in the families, we're living in the cultures. So there is a direction that we are living in. We talk to people, all that. So when direction is there is a sense of a functional me, that yes, I am interacting with you. That's necessary. But beyond that, there is the purity of the emotion, which is a divine emotion. So bhakti is love that has transmuted into divine love. Human love is there, what we call, to some limited extent it's there. But that divine love, jisko divya prem kehte, like Mirabai. Mirabai is in love with Krishna, but that love is at a very different stage. It is a very intense stage of devotion. The emotional energy within us has taken such a height where there is absorption in the form of God. Bhagwan ke saath ek link lagti hai, prem ki link. Because of the glory of God. Bhagwan ka jo mahima hai, because of that glory there is a linkage. Now from that linkage, all of the disturbances within the mind and the body begin to disappear. Usme kuch maya ka bhav nahi rehta. Bhakti is the only thing out of all of these yogas that actually binds God. Bhagwan भक्त के बंधन में आ जाते, ऐसी ताकत है भक्ति में. And only in bhakti, not in the other yogas as such. Because other yogas don't have it directly to do with God. They have to do with mind and understanding and all those other kinds of things. Even like mantra sadhana, it does have to do with God, but it has to do with mental repetition and those kinds of things. Yes, they're mixed together. All the yogas are connected together, but bhakti specifically is such that once it is connected with Bhagwan, then God takes care of the devotee. If somebody is a Gyan yogi, doesn't have any bhakti, there is no support of any kind. And there are people like that also. Some people could be karma yogi, but they're not concerned with God. They're just concerned with helping humanity and doing good services and good works. Unke Bhagwan ke saath kuch lena dena nahi hai. So there are those kinds of people who are karma yogis, they have nothing to do with bhakti or jnana even, or anything else. They just want to simply serve the world and serve the society and do good for the world, and they're doing it without their ego. Those are karma yogis. But unko Bhagwan ka sakshatkar nahi hota. What they get is really either like a zero state of karma, and then they just go into like a null space, or they accumulate a lot of punya karma, and then they get result of that. That's generally what happens. Because isme kya hai? If we want mukti, somebody has to give us mukti. I'll give you a simple example. If an individual is at a university and has gone through all of their, let's say, psychology classes and everything is done, every criteria is met, the only thing left now is for the university to say, okay, you are a graduate and we're giving you the certificate. But somebody has to give that. If that is not given, then what happens? Even if you have everything, you've studied everything, you still cannot be considered a graduate until somebody has given that to you. Isn't it so? In our world, it's like that too. In everything, someone has to certify or give that, okay, you are okay now, you're qualified XYZ. Adhyatma marg mein bhi, jo astik bhav hai, those individuals, those sadhakas who believe in God, and they say that no, Paramatma is there, not just a null space or not just an undifferentiated, homogeneous kind of a consciousness, like the ocean, the drop goes into the ocean. Wo bhi ek Bhagwan ka swarup kehte, but God is actually there, like a personal relationship with God. तो वो जो भगवान के साथ जो इष्ट देव की जो भक्ति है, in that state there is the asking God to liberate us. That's why in the Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna Bhagavan says, you come to me. He says it again and again. Sarva dharman parityaja mam ekam me sharanam vraja. As opposed to simply going to some undifferentiated abstract reality that is just present everywhere. That is also there, the Nirakara Swarup. But there's no relationship with that. How can you have a relationship with something that is undifferentiated? As a human being is in the mental, physical level, there cannot be any relationship with that. There's only the zoning out of the mind and hoping that will just come to us, or that will just be there. And there's no you also. So Gyan Yog mein kya hai? That is what the Gyanis want. They're not concerned with God actually also. Gyanis are really not concerned with any form of God. They may have forms of God and bhakti and so many different things as a support only. And I spoke to Chetna about this just yesterday. That they use that as a support, but they're not really concerned with God. They want to become one with that cosmic consciousness. And in fact, once they become one with it, they're also not there. If I was to ask you, if you put a drop of water inside the ocean, where's that drop? It's not there anymore. There's no drop to even experience anything. There's no person to it. There's no individuality left to experience anything. So another way, sometimes Advaita Vedanta is considered to be spiritual suicide. There's no you actually. When you say that you want to realize that, you will not even experience that. There's nothing to experience actually. There's just a homogeneous mass of consciousness that is called Nirakar Akshara Brahma. और इसमें और वो जो ज्ञानी है, they want that. और वो भी एक स्थिति है. Ramakrishna Paramahansa was in samadhi after meeting the Guru Totapuri. In the story of Ramakrishna Paramahansa, in the history, he was seeing the goddess Kali at all times. And that Advaitic Guru, who was a Jnani, He said that you are seeing the goddess Kali, you have to get rid of the form and you will see the Brahman, actual reality. So he put some stone or something, where I put this Agnya Chakra Tika here. He put like a stone, he put a little bit of a touch there. He said, you meditate here, the goddess will appear, you go beyond, you go beyond the form. He did that, he was in Samadhi, Ramakrishna Paramans. Was Samadhi mein the for 12 days. Body was unmoving. But he was alive. Body was still alive, but some different state is there. Body becomes like a piece of wood almost, becomes really, really hard. और वो जो निर्विकल्प समाधि है, it is called asampragnat samadhi in the Yoga Sutras. And we'll get to that later on sometime. The Gyanis who are there, they want that. And they don't ever want to come out of that. And in fact, once they're in that, if they come out of it, they have a remembrance of that. And that is where Advaita Vedanta came from. It came from those people who touched that to some extent and came back into it. But if the causal body, if the Karan Sharira is completely gone, and one goes into that, one never comes out of it. In the Vachanamrut, Sajanand Swami Maharaj has called that Brahma Shushupti. The Nirakara Brahma is such that if the causal body is gone, there's no vasana left. And even if you're worshipping God, doing all kinds of sadhanas and bhakti and everything, but your intention is to go into Nirakara Brahma, you will go there and there will not be you anymore. There's no you actually to experience anything. There's a state of zero experience. It is just an existence there. इसमें अनुभव कुछ नहीं है. ठीक है ना? अनुभव कब होता है when there is some duality. Baki, you cannot say the drop of water that has gone to the ocean is experiencing water. No. It is the one. I am the drop, make me the ocean. There's a prayer like that. But that is not, there's no duality, there's no experience of the ocean. It is the oneness, it's not even oneness with the ocean, it is the ocean only. That is Advaita Vedanta, that is the Nirakara Brahma. Now, how does that differ from Buddhism? In Buddhism, there is no idea of Nirakara Brahma. In Buddhism, there is Shunya. Shunya means nothingness. That is also another state. Shunya mein kya hai? Causal body is gone, cycle of reincarnation is stopped, there's no more vasana left, and one has gone through the eightfold path that Buddha has shown, has gone through that. One is an awakened being, energies are awakened, has gone through all the intermediate stages, and there is a stage called Mahashunya Avastha. And there's nothing, there's no Brahma Tattva also, it's non-existence. It is another form of spiritual suicide. I use the word spiritual suicide this way because there's no you to experience anything. People who are trying to commit suicide, they want to end the experience of their life. So both in Advaita Vedanta and in Buddhism, both are spiritual suicide. Because you're not there actually. There's no you to experience anything. And if somebody wants that, they can get that, but they have to extinguish all their karma, and they have to also not have any vasana. I have heard certain sages who don't want to go into those states. They say that that a devotee of God, if he has some vasana, that's a good thing. He'll come out of those two states. Otherwise, he'll never come out of it ever. There will not even be you to come out of. You see, so this is a very, very interesting point about the difference between Buddhism, Advaita Vedanta, and then all the Bhakti Sampradayas. Including Christianity is also like a Bhakti Sampradaya. So is, the Judaism, Christianity, Islam, and all the Bhakti Sampradayas in Hinduism are all on the same line that there's one monotheistic God. Okay, Bhagwan actually is there, and we want to serve God, and not simply this homogeneous, undifferentiated consciousness. Very, very interesting. Because when a person may get a glimpse of the undifferentiated consciousness and the Brahmanda and this world, that is called Savikalpa state. Savikalpa mein kya hai? Jagat bhi, we can see this world outside, but you also see what is behind the world, the substratum, that is the undifferentiated Nirakara Brahma. And that is why, depending on the evolution, because see, this is a matter of anubhav. If the intention of the devotee is to see God, then God will come. If the intention is to be lost inside the oceanic consciousness of the Brahman and not ever come out of it, and not even be there, there's no experience of the Brahman. If somebody believes that they're going to experience the Brahman when they're going to the Brahman, that's wrong. It's not an experience of Brahman. You are the Brahman. How can you experience that then? You see, so there's no you to experience anything. So the Gyan yogis that is shown here, number 3 here, this is a very deep subject, but this is the goal. If you go to Vivek Chudamani and all the Advaitic teachers, this is what they want. They're wanting that badly. They don't want anything to do with any form, including any form of God. So even people like J. Krishnamurti, people like Shankaracharya, people like, the various gurus in Advait Siddhanta, even Swami Vivekananda, ultimately, even Gnaneshwar, I would say 70 to 80% of Sanatana Dharma ultimately reaches to Advait Vedanta this way. But the Bhakti Sampradaya Acharyas, Nimbarka Acharya, Vallabhacharya, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sajanand Swami Maharaj, and all those people who are in the Bhakti tradition, Ramanujacharya, etc., they do not accept Advait Vedanta this way. They don't want to commit spiritual suicide. They want to see God actually, and they want to serve God. Or what tremendous difference is इसमें. Why that difference is there? It's a difference in what will happen when the body goes away. So इसमें क्या है? If you look at all these different yogas, somebody who is only a karma yogi and has nothing to do with bhakti or gyan or anything like that, it's possible, in theory, can exhaust the karmas, come to a zero state, and come out of the cycle of birth and death, and probably just wind up in the shunya avastha, nothingness. In very theoretical, I don't think that happens in hardly any case. Probably karma yogi will probably accumulate some karma anyway, because it's very difficult to not accumulate karma without jnana. So jnana supports karma. So for example, if I'm driving a car, and if I'm driving the car just with a karma yoga mindset, with a stable mindset, but that stability comes because of jnana, that I don't want to, so the jnana supports karma. So there are people who put karma yoga at the top, that they just want to only perform karma in a way that is yogic, that is that doesn't have any binding to it, and they want to be free while they're living. They're not interested in liberation or God or any such thing. So in that case, all of these yogas, Raja Yoga, Gnan Yoga, Mantra Yoga, Tantra Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga, they can become a support to that state of Karma Yoga. So if any one of these is predominant, the other 5 are a support. You see, it depends on, and Sachin is not saying what one should do. You do what you want. It's up to each person. Those people who are in the Tantra Yoga, which we'll cover that later on, it's a big subject. They are not rejecting the world. So it's called non-dual Shaiva Tantra. Non-dual Shaiva Tantra or Kashmiri Shaivism does not reject the world and does not consider it as an illusion. It considers it very real, and the experiences of it are not rejected, but they are entered into in a yogic state, and then from there the Shiva Tattva is discovered. Okay, that's enough for today on this. I kind of went a little bit perhaps too deep on it, but I just wanted to share that with you. I hope you don't mind. Let me stop this here.